Hello, everybody. Fox here, and welcome to PIC Related, where I talk about something and I get a picture and put it up in the background, and I talk about the thing at hand. So, yeah, let's talk about it. And today's topic is going to be Lisa, the RPG. Now, if you don't know what Lisa, the RPG is, Lisa is a game that came out, at least the second game, I should say. I don't know what the actual release date for the first game is. I tried finding it, but I couldn't. But Lisa the Painful came out on the 15th of December 2014. So it came out a full year before Undertale came out. And this game is Undertale-esque, I have to say, even though it came out first. So really, Undertale is Lisa-esque. But the reason why that is because they're both inspired by Earthbound, which is another RPG that is very good at hitting emotional tones, but it's kind of toned down comparatively. So yeah, Lisa the Painful is the one that's on Steam. It's available for $10, and then I think it's $10. It might be 15 actually. Hold on, looking it up. Um, yeah, it's $10. It's 15 if you get the second game with it too. Third game. It's confusing because the first game isn't technically on Steam, so it's like the second game, but it's actually the third. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about Lisa and why it's a good game and why you should play it, and I'm going to be spoiling the fuck out of it. So, before I start spoiling it, I gotta say right now. So I'll give you a quick review, a quick little like maybe 2-minute review, telling you why you should play it and go and get it. So, Lisa the Painful and Lisa the RPG series is a series of RPGs that are emotionally taxing and sad. They are very sad. They are not happy games, and they are incredibly well designed. Lisa the Painful is actually one of the hardest RPGs I've ever played, and the Joyful is just as difficult. Um, and Lisa the First is just like a Yume Nikki style RPG Maker game, and where you wander around levels and stuff. And they tell a story that is contained within all three games, and it shows the effects a of an event within the first story that is shown to you within the first story, and then they explore what happens or how things go on after like that event occurs. It's a really sad game. It's really good though. It's really fucking good. Like I adore Undertale, okay? I love Undertale. Undertale is my favorite fucking game in the universe. I'm not even lying. But Lisa tops it. Lisa is a better story overall and a better game overall. And I think that if you like Undertale or if you even like RPGs in general, you should give Lisa a try. I would not start with the first game because the Lisa the First isn't very good in terms of being a game. It tells you a lot about the story, and it teaches you a lot about why things are like this, and you're not going to understand certain things within the first game, or within you're not going to understand certain things within the second game if you don't play the first game. That being said, it does teach you a little bit, through Lisa the Painful, which is the second game. It does tell you about the event that happened before, but I think it's an overall better experience if you play Lisa the First in the beginning and then go to Lisa the Painful and then go to Lisa the Joyful, because that's the intended order you're supposed to play them. Of course, you can just skip over Lisa the First because reasons. So yeah, that's my review on Lisa. Go fucking buy it. It's good. Okay, it's really good. Buy it and then come back here after you buy it and you want to listen to my opinion on it or whatever. But yeah. Or if you just don't care about spoilers, listen on. So I'm gonna go into first. I'm just gonna talk about the games generally, and I'll talk about each game. Then I'll talk about why that's important and why the story is good and why it's a good game. And I'm gonna jump to the next game and how it correlates with the last game and how it is involved with the story overall. And we'll go on. So first things first, Lisa the First. Lisa the First is a Yume Nikki style RPG Maker game where you don't do any combat, you just walk through levels and solve puzzles. It is a very simple game. It is not very hard to beat. It's just, it takes a little bit of thinking, and honestly, it takes a bit of time to beat. You could probably beat it within 2 hours at most. Maybe 3 if you're really getting lost, but overall, it's generally really easy. And it is a game that tells you a story through what you see and how you perceive the world, and how this girl, Lisa, perceives the world in her dreams. Lisa takes place, or Lisa the First, which I'm just going to refer to it as Lisa now. So Lisa takes place in a abusive household where you are living with a man by the name of Marty, I believe his name is. I could be wrong. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Marty Armstrong, yeah. I forget the name because there's a bunch of different Armstrongs in Lisa. So Marty Armstrong is the father of Lisa, and he is he is the epitome of a drunken deadbeat dad. That is what he is. That's all he is within the story, and that's honestly all he will ever be within the story. Because in Lisa the First, you don't really do much. You don't explore much of Lisa's or Brad, or not Brad, sorry, not Brad's. Brad is another character who has no part in actually Lisa the First. But Lisa is in, what's it called? So Lisa the First takes place within her dreams, and she tries to escape her father within her own dreams, essentially. And the main thing is that you're going to notice within the game is that you're going to be walking around all these dream worlds, and there's very deliberate things that are done within the game in order to sort of show how bad the abuse is. First off, Lisa is the only other character besides her dad in her dreams. Oh wait, no, that's not true. There's actually another character, but I'll jump into that a little bit later. So Lisa is the only other character in her dreams besides her dad, and of course, I think it's Tricky Rick. I think they call him, or something. Richard Weeks. No, that's not the right guy. But that's what he looks like. Hold on, I'm looking for him. I don't know his actual name, but he's basically oh my god, I can't find it. So I'm looking for it and I can't find it, huh? We'll just look at Lisa the First and call it good. So there's Lisa, Marty, and yeah, Tricky Rick. It didn't show me. So Tricky Rick is a character that appears within Lisa the First too, and he actually looks like another character within the series later on. The look is a little bit weird because it's a weird coincidence, and it's honestly possibly just a reused character model for another character, or a inspired character design for another character. But Richard, or not Richard, Tricky Rick is actually a character that appears to look like a penis. And you can see the the similarities, or not the similarities, but the correlation between it. And Lisa is trying to walk through all these dream worlds, and it appears that she's walking through a neighborhood at points. She's walking through different areas outside of her house, but she can never escape her father because her father is just everywhere. Honestly, she's unable to escape. That's like the whole thing of this story. It is a story about abuse that happens throughout the game or prior to the game, and a character trying to cope and escape it, but is just unable to do it. And the abuse just seeps so deep within the subconscious of this character that it's warping her mind to such a point that she cannot focus on anything anymore. She cannot dream about anything else besides the abuse she's going to have to deal with. Now, Lisa is implied to have been forced to be within a sexual relationship with her father. There's also the idea that she's probably physically abused. And the goal of the game is actually to go through all these worlds and obtain VHS tapes of Lisa's memories while exploring the game's various zones. And the main thing is just get these VHS tapes, which you kids probably don't even know about because fucking God, that's an old thing. But go get VHS tapes, bring them back to the main hub, put them in the TV, and I think that there's like little level type things after the VHS tapes. I don't know. But you put the VHS tapes into the thing and you'll see a lot of just like you'll begin to see more and more things as you go through the game and getting all these VHS tapes. Now, the main thing, I can't really talk about too much of this because there's not really much to talk about with Lisa the First. It's just a lot of walking through psychedelic areas, and like you have to play the game to understand a lot of the symbolism that's going on there. But a lot of the game is just emphasizing like sadness and being alone, and they show off a lot of phallic imagery, which is obviously to push the idea that there is sexual abuse going on, all these different things. And yeah, that's basically Lisa the First, and it basically just sets up the idea of this happened, and this event and this abusive relationship is what set up the character in the next game to have to deal with, and like it. The thing is, this game deals with internal distress and internal coping with abuse. That's what its goal is. And Lisa the Painful deals with another thing. So it deals with a different kind of abuse. Where now we're gonna jump into Lisa the Painful in a second, but I just want to talk about a little bit about like why this is important. Now, Lisa the First deals with a very important idea of you can't escape the trauma. And for a lot of people, like, I imagine this is true. And it's honestly really sad no matter what. This game does simply not allow for you to get a good ending, because there is no good ending in this scenario. Lisa's story is not a positive or happy story. It's just a story of tragedy and sadness and awful circumstance. The one of the two endings that you can get is essentially Lisa walks in and or gets sent to a black void where with her father, and her father basically is like, "Did you really think you could forget? You can't. You can't do that. No matter how hard you fight, you'll never be able to forget me. There's only one life. This one is yours. Fucking deal with it." The second ending is the ending where you attempt to see Lisa's mother, who is presumed to be dead. Actually, um, um, she is dead. There's no context to this either. They don't tell you anything about Lisa's mother and Brad's mother. They don't tell you anything. It's just the idea that the only way you know this is if you get the true ending, which is which shows Lisa's mom from behind, and then she turns around and it's just Marty. Marty's face is on Lisa's mom. And she's basically like says, like, "I didn't want to die. I don't leave. Lisa, I didn't want to die. I love you. Don't go. You can't run." And that's Lisa's mom. Both endings give you a game over screen, and that's it. The creator of this game, Austin Jorgensen, also known as Dingaling, which I'll refer to him as Dingaling now from now on because I'm not going to remember his full name. But Dingaling has stated before in interviews that the idea behind Lisa the First and later in The Painful, it was actually based on an ex-girlfriend who was scarred by memories of her abusive father, as it made him realize how much memories can actually affect people mentally. It's an important game that tells you that, or teaches the idea of it, like, when somebody is abused, it doesn't just get better after the fact. Abuse lasts, it stays, it sticks, and that's a real thing that is dealt with. And this is just in memories right now. This is all in a dreamscape within Lisa the First. The Now Lisa the Painful shows off a lot more of the horrific side effects of why this how this can affect people essentially, and how it negatively affects people alive and in the real world. And I say the real world, but it's not the real world, but you get what I mean. Don't be fucking assholes, okay? So yeah, let's jump to Lisa the Painful. Lisa the Painful takes place after Lisa the First. Well, kind of. It starts off before Lisa the First, I imagine, but then afterwards it takes place after. It's a weird thing, just roughly estimating it's after Lisa the First. And the game opens up with a title screen of Lisa hanging herself. Like, that's the title screen. That's not a spoiler, that's actually the title screen. Funnily enough, Lisa does not appear after Lisa the First. She is dead afterwards. But I think the naming convention of the entire series being named Lisa shows how much Lisa has affected the entirety of the story. Like, her one event has completely, like, steered the story in the direction that it went. And now we're going to be talking about Lisa the Painful, which it is a painful game to get through. It is absurdly hard. It is an actual RPG. It's difficult. It's very simple, but it's easy to get lost in, like, a lot of the different, like, places to go. It's kind of like a maze you stumble through, kind of like it Lisa the First, but there are things like there's some, like, like areas where they kind of show you, hey, go this way, asshole, so there's that. But Lisa the Painful is a story that is intended to show how the events of Lisa's abuse and subsequently his abuse that he received from his father has affected him mentally, how he acts, how he handles things, and ultimately talks about his guilt over what has happened to his sister. So it starts off with him getting his shit kicked in by a bunch of kids who are bullies, and he walks home after getting his shit kicked in, and his dad, sees him walk in, hits him with a beer bottle, tells him to go to his room for getting his shirt ripped, and you can go and see Lisa the only time she is ever alive within the second game. You can go and see her, and then if you go to your room and it opens to Lisa. And then it cuts to a desert. Now, the game takes place in a universe where the Great Flash happened, and this is deepest lore, and they tell you a little bit about it, but there's not much to really go off of because a lot of the game is just it doesn't tell you. And I think that's a lot of the good, like, it's good, but it's also kind of disappointing because I kind of would like to know a little bit more. Anyway, that's beside the point. So over like the past 20 years, an event happened. An event happened called the Great Flash. The Great Flash is a extinction event that happened where the entirety of Olaf, that's where Lisa takes place, where the entirety of Olaf has been essentially purged, like, from women. There are no women left in Olaf. So as time goes on, like, all the men are looking for their women, and only men have survived. And they also explain how biologically all women have been wiped. Even, like, they explain that, like, trans men were also wiped because they have vaginas, they can reproduce, and essentially the Flash was made to essentially wipe out everyone with, I don't know which chromosome it is, but whatever, you get what I'm trying to say. So this extinction this extinction event happened, and it wiped away all women from existence. Now, as time goes on, men have formed into these tribes, essentially. Without women, all the men have eventually divulged into a bunch of tribalistic, groups of armies and warlords and stuff. There are no men around anymore. As such, or there are no men anymore. There are no women around anymore who do anything. This is all until Brad Armstrong, being young and full of hair and with his magnificent beard and poncho, he goes walking through the desert, hears crying. What the fuck is that? There's no way that a baby could be born after this amount of time. Like, there's no way a baby should exist by now, because this is like around like 10 years after the Great Flash had occurred. So he goes and he looks for the sound of the crying, and he finds a baby. Now, this baby is crying, and he just, he tries to soothe it, takes it back to his friends. And their friends are all looking at it and they're like, huh, that's really weird. If a baby was born, that would mean that there has to be a woman that's still alive right now. And this is explained later in the game. I'm not going to talk about it really because it's not important to the overall story. But, you know, they're bullshitting and they're talking about it, and then they're like, wait, what gender is the baby? And then Brad's like, I don't fucking know. I didn't check. So he looks, and the baby's got a pip. It's a girl. So he's like, well, it's a girl. You know, and he's like thinking about it, and he's like, what? I guess we have to keep it safe. And his friends are all like, no, 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 no. We don't want this baby. Because here's the thing, a baby, a female baby specifically, is going to set off everyone. Everyone is going to be fucking pissed and want the baby because it has a vagina. And I'm not saying that like they're going to fuck the baby. That's not what I'm saying. But once this girl becomes old enough to reproduce, everyone is going to fight over it. And they know this. So their idea is to take it to the Rando army, which is the biggest army around their area. And they figure that they'll know what to do with it. And Rando's not such a bad person. He's actually not that bad overall. He's one of the more decent warlords out there. But as it stands, you know, they don't know what to do about it, so they kidnap, or not kidnap, but they keep the baby and they raise it up to be about probably around 12. So Buddy, as she is named by her father, quote unquote father, Brad, you know, she grows up to be about 13, 14 maybe. I want to say 12 to 14 is her age, because I imagine that's around the same time that Lisa probably commits suicide, but I have no idea. Anyway, so Buddy gets to be about 13, and Brad is obsessive over her. Brad is completely obsessive because he sees it as a chance to redeem himself for what happened to Lisa. And his friends know this. But they don't really have the heart to talk to him about it properly. Instead, they just kidnap Lisa and give her away. So, so as it stands, there's a lot of fighting. Brad is pissed. He goes and meets his he goes and saves a friend of his, or not saves a friend. He goes and saves somebody by the name of Terry Hintz. Terry Hintz is like, hey, come on, let's go do stuff. And they're like, oh man, we gotta go like save the baby, essentially, or save Buddy. So it goes into this thing of it goes into this I'm sorry, I'm thinking things wrong. So they go and save Buddy. That's their goal. That's their quest. And overall, over the entire quest, you will meet a lot of people. You'll meet some friends. You'll meet some enemies. You'll do a lot of stuff. You'll fight a bunch of people. There's a lot of story things going on. I'm not going to cover that all right now, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the scene that takes place before the start of the game actually happens, which is the montage of Buddy growing up, because Buddy grows up under Brad, and Brad is shown to be very guilty about what Marty did and what he let Marty do, which is abuse Lisa, and apparently like how he suffered the abuse from Marty. And he's taking drugs. He's taking Joy. And Joy is a drug that is very dangerous, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And essentially, Brad just falls down the same sort of path with Lisa, or with Buddy, but not exactly the same. He's more centered around protecting her. He's not doing it because, you know, he's a scumbag. He's just doing it because he wants to keep her safe. He doesn't want her to get hurt like Lisa did. Which is admirable, but it's also kind of fucked up and sad. So Buddy gets kidnapped. Brad goes fucking apeshit. He basically goes across Olaf, murders everyone in his path to get to Buddy because everyone wants to pick a fight with him because they're all trying to look for the girl that has been spotted because the cat's out of the bag. There's a girl being transported throughout Olaf, so it is what it is. And essentially, all these different tribes are freaking the fuck out and are trying to handle it. Now, throughout the course of the game, you will meet a character by the name of Buzzo. Buzzo is Lisa's boyfriend, essentially. It's not really clear. Like, there's something between them, but it's not really sure how far they got with it. But Lisa and Buzzo were a thing, and Buzzo blames Brad for letting Lisa die. Now, throughout the game, Buzzo harasses you and is just like, hey, asshole, you let my girlfriend die. How about this? Pick your items, or I'm gonna kill your friend. And then, he threatens to chop off your arm at some point in the game, and, if you actually let him chop off your arm, it actually cripples your attack power a little bit. So, there's actual choices that have to be made within the game in order to make sure that you don't die, essentially, or don't run out of supplies in order to complete the game. This game is very, very difficult because of this reason. So, throughout the game, you get harassed by Buzzo, you meet a bunch of different people, you basically are on this wild goose chase to find Buddy. And it's implied that Buddy has actually been... first off, you learn that two of your friends took her and gave her to the Rando army. And that's good, but whatever. And they're calling him out, being like, you're being selfish, you're being an asshole. Think about the actual implications of what you're doing. You are dooming the human race to die because fucking you don't want the I'm trying to think, because you don't want the Rando army to have a chance at reproducing with her or whatever. You're being fucking selfish. Knock it off. And he's like, no, fuck you. I did Lisa. And they're just like, whatever, man. And they fight him, and you kill your buddies and all that. You actually run into, you save Buddy for a little bit, and you talk to them, or you talk to her about it. And it's implied that Buddy has been, I guess, she's already done stuff at this point. You know what I mean. But it wasn't, against her will? From what it sounds like, it's really weird. It's really, really weird in how they word it. Because they never say it outright. They just, they imply it. And it's through Brad's thinking, though. So it could just be that he's overreacting. We don't know. That's the thing about this game. A lot of the story is going on through Brad's eyes. Brad is literally fucking crazy because of all the abuse he suffered. He thinks to the worst possible scenario. So as it stands, he's losing his shit over a possible scenario that might not have even happened. We don't know. So more of the game goes on. I'm not telling you about the specifics of the game. You gotta go actually look it up yourself. But Lisa goes through, or not Lisa. Brad goes through Olaf slaughtering everyone, trying to find Buddy, and he actually meets up with a lot of people that are willing to help him. And throughout the game, you're going to meet a lot of really weird people. On top of that, you're going to notice that there's a bunch of people peddling joy, which joy is a drug that is very dangerous. I mentioned that Brad is addicted to joy himself. And you can go through the entire game without using joy and you get a different ending. It's not really all that different, but it is important. Anyway, so you go through the game and you're taking joy and stuff. And you're also noticing that there are mutants going around, and these are joy mutants. They're mutants that come from people taking joy to escape their problems, because joy is a drug that makes you feel nothing or makes you feel happy in some cases. Like for a abuse case like Brad, joy will actually make you feel better because you feel nothing. And it is a drug that turns you into a monster over time because and it's like a symbolic thing almost. So like it gives you the ability to not feel anything or get over your pain, but it also turns you into this monster where, because you're taking the because you're taking the drug, it like, how should I say this? Because it's joy, and you're taking it, it turns you into a monster because it implies like, I don't know exactly. It's like symbolic, but I can't figure out what the fuck it was now because I'm trying to talk and figure it out at the same time. God damn it! But you get what I mean. And joy triggers mutation when either you are under a lot of physical and or mental trauma. So Brad is a prime suspect to mutate, and also when you're gonna die. So overall, the drug is very deadly, very dangerous, and it is used by a lot of people to cope, but it's also used by a lot of people for combat prowess and combat abilities, such as Buzzo. Buzzo takes joy. It could be for coping, for the fact that his girlfriend died, or it could be for being stronger, because now he can't feel anything and he can fight better. This is like, and this is the main like conflict in Lisa, because Buzzo and his gang, I don't like, what is Buzzo a part of? Like he's a part of a gang essentially that he sells, like their whole gang sells the joy to other people, and he is hired by a certain character that is not really talked about within this game, and he is doing this to essentially like basically help this character cause a war and create monsters throughout Olaf. It's like very evil villain type stuff. Now Brad finds Buddy, saves Buddy, and essentially, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the game ends and like essentially Rando's army is dead. Rando's army is taken care of. And that's where Buddy or Lisa the Painful ends. Now, Lisa the Joyful takes place afterwards, where Buddy is surviving on her own. And well, actually, first let's talk about why Lisa the Painful is so important. Lisa the Painful showcases how abuse can handle, or how it can affect how your judgment is and how trauma can affect how you handle situations. It can change completely how you like react and think and how you process things. And this is very true. People who have been abused just think completely differently. It's just how it is. Abuse and trauma changes how you process things. And that's not me being like an insensitive asshole. That is like how nature works. If you ever see like an animal that's gotten abused by a certain thing or has gotten hurt or traumatized by a certain event, it will hate that thing for the end of its life. You know, it will hate that thing forever. That's just how it is. And so, as it as things go on, you know, a lot about we learn a lot about Brad and how the trauma has affected him and how things go on, and essentially it shows how it affects Buddy as well, because in Lisa the Joyful we explain that and we look at that, because Buddy is impartial to Brad. Buddy sees Brad as a father figure, and Buddy sees Brad as important to her. And in fact, it's really important to talk about this because Buddy, essentially, Buddy goes through the entire game and she feels nothing. Buddy is a sociopath. And I say that, and you might not believe me, but trust me, play Lisa the Joyful. She is a goddamn sociopath. And honestly, you know, it makes sense, you know? Because she grew up in a world where she was taught to murder people if she runs into them. Because that is what Brad taught her to do. Because Brad sees everyone else as a threat to Buddy. So he teaches Buddy, hey, you need to kill people, these men, or else you're gonna regret it. And Buddy is just like, okay, I guess. Like, she's traumatized by it. She's traumatized by murdering somebody. But she's also just like desensitized to killing people because she never grew up in a world where you could go play games with the other kids and live a decent life. You don't play and like you don't do things like that, you know? You don't live like that as a kid. She lives in a world where she has to, you know, it's either kill or be killed, ironically. One of Undertale's main quotes is, you know, applicable to Lisa. So time goes on. Buddy basically goes on a murdering spree too, and just kills everyone. Like, the human race is decimated at this point. There's no talk about what is beyond Olaf. For all we know, Olaf is the only place where this desolate, desert-like area is, where there's no women. Like, for all we know, that's what Olaf is like. Or, it could be that Olaf is like the last place on Earth where people live. We don't know. We're not given any sort of scale to know. All we know is that a guy decided to basically destroy the human race. That's all we're given. But he goes, kills everyone, and she's given a choice. She's given the ability to either take a vaccine because she's been taking joy, so she's gonna mutate, right? So she's given a choice to either take the vaccine and, stay healthy and not, change, or she's given the choice to um not take the vaccine, or rather take the vaccine and grow up, and she actually has a child. So there's no actual like statement on who the child is actually from, but she is she grows up to have a child and live on, and it's almost like a hopeful statement of, even though all this trauma happened, life still goes on, and like eventually things will get better. So who knows? Honestly, as it stands, the as it stands, we don't know what happens after Lisa, the Joyful. And I think that's almost poetic way to end the most poetic way to end the game series, because Lisa is a game about abuse, trauma, and how that affects your actions. And it is a game that allows you to explore how the world is and how it can affect you, And I left out a lot of stuff in this overall story review. And I could make a whole second episode about good moments within Lisa the Painful and Lisa the Joyful. However, I think the fun of Lisa is to go through and play it yourself and understand what all is going on there. Because I was very loose and didn't go in very deep to what I could have, told you, Now, as it stands, Lisa is been, out for 2 years now, and it is honestly the better version of Undertale. If you want to play Undertale, do it, but I say play Undertale after playing Lisa, because Undertale takes a lot from Lisa, weirdly enough, and Lisa takes a lot from Earthbound. And if you want the indie RPG trilogy, play Lisa, the whole series, play Undertale, and then there's another game called Off that I plan on playing soon and talking about. But as it stands, I can't find an English version of it right now. It's a French game, so it's a little bit harder to get an English version of it. But yeah, if you do get Lisa though, it is a very difficult game, and I would like to say that if you want to play Lisa, you should play it on the hardcore mode, which is painful mode or pain mode or something, because that will allow you to have a more fun experience. I would say. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. My Twitter is Foxxtrott_den. It's down below. My Twitch is Oxterp. Twitch.tv/Oxterp. You can find me down below. I'll probably be playing a game on there relating to this podcast. I will be I have a Patreon, which is available down below as well. And yeah, if you want to see me play a game, check me out at twitch.tv/Oxterp. I do probably 20-minute episodes that are live, and then I also run live premiere casts throughout the day usually. So if you want to swing by, just say hi. I'll probably be on, maybe, who knows. But yeah, I'll see you then. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.